Anti-Society, welcome back to the Anti-Social Planet. Today we are checking out Dreamcatcher's Wind Blows dance practice, and I have so many choreos for B-sides specifically to check up on. I think there are still some of the singles that I haven't checked out, but I'm like a little bit shocked that I didn't get to those. But I'm excited to get to check out some more choreo. There's always some interesting things in their performances and the storytelling that they bring to the song through what they choose to do in the choreo. And I may or may not be procrastinating a little bit because Maison is the last lead single, and then I have like half of an album left, and I'm a little bit in denial about that because I like the safety blanket of always having more Dreamcatcher stuff to get to, and I'm just like panicking a little bit at the idea of being caught up on their discography. We're gonna check out a dance practice while I find some of my chill about that. Also, I like that they have these like little intro things. I think that's cute or whatever, but it also kind of jump scares me. I just need some sound leveling going on for that. I guess it's like EDM coming in. And the actual dance practice is quieter. Ooh. I mean, fitting for the song, right? Ooh. Well, can we talk about Soa's outfit? Not the main focus I had. Okay, one, I love all of the like hand, like arm gestures, like again, these really big, wide movements already, but it's very like top heavy. It's very much like the top of their body as opposed to getting into a lot of intricate footwork right off the bat. So it's just like taking up a bunch of space in the performance. I also love moments where they went out of sync. They were like alternating who was doing the choreo and who was like keeping this almost like tableau along with it. And it was really cool. Also, Queen Sua. Enough said. Yeah, the like formations are almost like military. Ooh, love that knee move there too. Good cannon. Not quite center though. It's okay. Ooh, good reveal for Dami's part there. Like switching out Dio for Dami. That almost like swipe effect. Nice. Really big arm movements. Open body forms. I'm sorry. Did you just brush me off? Fine, I won't talk about how much I like your outfit then. That smile too. Ooh. Layers again. Levels. Who called? I'm like, I'm assuming it's probably Sua to be like, yeah, like what's up, because it's really EDM beat. Again, really big arm movements in this, which I really like. They're taking up a lot of space, which I really like. There is movement in their feet as well, but I think that they're hitting those hard hitting percussion really well. They have them with these big, huge swinging arm movements, and then that movement ends on that percussion, right? So having those huge percussion sounds in the production, you need that big movement to go into it, but it's very synchronization is great. I talked a little bit about how we weren't quite center at one point, but that's fine. I feel like it was probably what, Gayan all the way at the back. She might be struggling a little bit, okay? You can't put like the shortest person at the back of a formation. Is it? I think she's the shortest in the group, but I don't actually know that for a fact. But anyway, but synchronization for the rest of it looks really good with these big movements, all of them ending at the same point. It has this great impact. Again, when you have just them performing, I know later on they end up having more formations with other dancers getting involved. But for something like this, where it's, at least for this practice, it's just them doing this performance, you need to be able to stretch that number of members for this kind of like huge number in the production. So I love having those big movements that just have this illusion of taking up more space when you fully extend the arms. So you have these very like open body movements. Also love the like one elbow movement that they had like right on the beat again. Great movements. And we're already like starting to holler, so I'm assuming things are gonna get a bit chaotic. Love the spin. Love that little like talk. I'm assuming it might have been Gayan that called before. She was cheesing. Ooh, the stomps. Sorry, Hanong's face there. I love the cheering themselves. I love having those stomps, big, powerful stomps for the wind blows. And I was saying when I was reacting to the song and the album, I was like, oh, this song's probably really fun live because you just let all of the audience do that part and call for you. And I was like, it's probably a lot of fun to see what kind of choreo they're going to be doing because you don't need to be focused on doing any kind of vocals necessarily if you're going to let the crowd do their thing and chant that for you. Or if you are, it's like this shouting vocal. So it's not you trying to like have this really nice, steady, in control vocal. Like you just have to shout. So if you're doing those big stomps that could like reverberate through the rest of your body, it could make your voice sound unstable. But if you're doing that kind of shouting vocal, it's not as necessary to have that stability there. So you get to have those big movements. I also love that I was talking about them having these really wide movements. And then at that part, the formation contracts a lot, right? They all come a lot closer to each other, which has them moving in this synchronicity and having still these big movements hit more because it's like they're flowing together. And also being in close proximity, you have to gauge that distance between you and the other people a lot better, right? Because you don't want to be backhanding somebody in the middle of a performance. I love seeing them smiling as they're getting into it. The body roll though? Unnecessary. With like ab catcher coming at me. I love that movement too, like the measured hand movement. Are you surprised that I'm gonna have to rewind? I need to explain why. Love the levels there too. Love that smooth like foot out too. I really love the contrast there of, oh, look at Sue and Dami smiling at each other. Anyway, but I love the energy with Dami's part, like the energy that she was putting in. Again, big movements, more fast movements as well, having a lot of energy towards like when they're hitting those beats, right? And matching up with the production, which I think is really important. There's some intense production on this and you need to bring that energy to the way that you're performing. But then having that and break off into these two groups, and then Dami's kind of group goes off and you have this much slowed down vocal and production with Ju's part, but also a lot more fluid, measured movements in the way that she's performing, right? A lot more airier movements to her. So I love the contrast there as we set up for the next part. Right? Big movements with the elbows and then wrists relating with the next movement. There's a delicate feeling to that. Ooh, love that intricate handwork there. Love the control of the heads following the hand movements of Handang there too. Ooh, love that hit there too to get into the center. Great way of transitioning Dio into center. Ooh, I also love there that to have Dio be the focus, they bend down more than she does. Again, part of that is also like stability when you're doing a vocal, because I was talking before about how you don't have to worry about the recoil of doing those big movements in steadying your voice and your abdomen, your breath support. So if she had bent down that much, she would be constricting her air a lot more, and that would be a lot harder for her to control her singing. So it is a technical thing of her not bending down quite as much. You'll see that lots in performances where in a dance practice, they may go more full out in the actual dance, actually doing the choreo. And then in a live performance, you'll see the person who has to do the vocals is, I'm just going to stand or walk on beat in the formation. I'm not actually going to do the choreo because they need to actually be able to deliver those vocals live. So it is like more of a technical thing to accommodate for it actually being in a live setting. But I also love that it makes her far more of a focal point. We even have it with the spinning, right? Everyone else spins, but whoever's in the middle, they did it in the first chorus and they're doing it here too. So they're doing a great job of like, again, keeping who's the focal point of the formations, even when we're switching off, right? Having that contrast between these more aggressive movements and these more fluid movements, it immediately draws your eye to the next person, right? Because it's something that is contrasting with what you were focusing on before. And then even going back to Gayan when it was her part, having this more smaller space of the movements, these more like intricate hand movements. Again, it's contrasting this like wide movements that we had with when Jio's part was going on, right? So having those contrasts, we also had her like further downstage. So they're doing a great job of tracking where the audience's eye is supposed to be. Jio's had to move there. Love that spin into the new formation too. Ooh, we had there too, where Yuyeon was doing something different. Yeah, she's a different like hand movement. Again, little things to make the person in the center stand out. There, Gayan's going in the opposite direction, it looked. Unless the other side was doing it, but... Okay, she was sticking up the other side, but still. Ooh. Ooh, sorry, great with the little hand movements, but also leading with the knee with some of those movements. We haven't had that for the rest of the choreo. Great like circle there. Again, different focal point. I don't mean to interrupt, I really don't, but the moment that Sua got into formation and we started to get into the instrumental part, I got shivers through my whole body. I wasn't ready. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt. I just needed a little bit more of a warning before she was just gonna pop off on me. Ooh, I love hearing the claps all in sync. I beg your pardon? For science. I want to make sure I don't miss anything. Okay. Sure, I did see what I thought I saw. Ooh. Again, great contrast there. And okay, unintentional rewind there. You're welcome. But I love the contrast there of them all going down a much slower movement in that all of them going down like onto their knees and then having Jio be the focal point there, further back in the formation. After that huge movement, right? Tons of energy. Ooh, love how we had Xian with her ad-lib not doing the spin too. Ooh, I love how they have tons of them where they have almost like a V formation, but they're like slightly, I don't know, they're not in straight lines. And then they'll have whoever's further back come forward, switching out the focal point. It's like a fairly simple formation change, but it's a really great way of keeping the energy, right? Because you have to jump forward and have that quick change between those two, and it just keeps the energy. Ooh, great little formation at the end. And chaos right at the end. Love them cheering each other on, keeping the energy, especially for something like that. And I'm sure that they all need to catch their breath after doing that kind of choreo, except maybe Dio, because we all know what she's like when we give them like a EDM track. But I love that. I love the energy of it. I love that for something like this that has so much of that energy, it would be great in a live setting, but it's also great to see them bringing their own energy to it and having those more aggressive, hard-hitting movements that are matching up with the production, but then contrasting those wonderfully with the more slowed down, languid movements, and really having a great use of, again, tracking where the audience's eye is supposed to be. There are a few times in different choreos that I've watched where I'm like, I don't love the pass off there. Sometimes it can just get a little bit muddy depending on the space, right? If you have a certain number of members and you only have such a big practice space, that can get a little bit muddy. Other times it's just in terms of like where the camera is at. You're relying on a live performance of the camera switching over to help with that focal point, as opposed to having that in the actual performance when you've pulled back and you're watching it as a whole thing. So I really love getting to see how they just expertly did that, especially with these tiny changes, right? It'd be these little things of, oh, Dio didn't bend down as much as the other members, so she was slightly above all the other members in that point. Or there would be like part of the movement that the center person didn't do. They did majority of the choreo, but they did something slightly different, and that just picked them out as being the focal point of that, right? Little things that cue the audience to pay attention to something because it's an outlier in the formation, and I really like getting to see that. Another great dance practice. I'm not surprised at this point. I have yet to see a dance practice from them that I don't enjoy. There are definitely ones that are like more my favorite and have drawn me in terms of the intricacies and the different things that they bring to those performances. But that's just like, how do we judge something that is consistently good, right? That's like asking me to pick my favorite Dreamcatcher song. I'm like, can I get an album? Can I get a vibe? And even then, it's just a scale of great to absolute masterpiece in personal opinion. Love getting to see another dance practice and love the energy that they brought to it. Love that you could see them having fun, especially with routine like this that is really high energy. There are tons of big movements in it, not just in terms of these wide arm movements, but they have lots of more intricate footwork as well. And even just leading with the knees in some of those movements. You need some core to be doing that. So there's a lot that goes into this performance in terms of just the choreo, let alone the kind of energy you have to meet because of the production, right? So I love getting to see them like cheering each other on, and Sua bringing her own energy to this of, we need to get through this number and I know we can do it, but like having fun with it, because I think that it is very easy when you're performing a song like this to be like a little bit intimidated by it. And who knows how many times they were like going through this practice and filming stuff before we got this video. How many times they had practiced it, just like an actual practice to learn the choreo before this video happened. So it's great to see them helping bring that energy to this performance and having fun and laughing and smiling with each other, whilst also doing like a great job with this choreo and matching up some of those movements, right? Having those really big arm movements, it can be a little bit difficult sometimes to keep those in sync. And from what I could see, it was pretty good. They got a little bit grungy with it in the faster breakdown part before the bridge, but that's to be expected. And honestly, I think that it fits with the performance and the instrumentation that was going on. I feel like with something that has that high of energy, it's inevitable that you're going to get a bit of a grungy in terms of the synchronization and the movements, but it's okay because you're sacrificing that clean synchronicity for the sake of energy that you're bringing to that part of the performance, right? I think that it's always just a give and take, right? It's the same thing with having to change the way that you're doing the choreo in order to accommodate the fact that you're live singing at the same time, right? Which I talked about in the reaction of sometimes you can't do the same choreo or you can't bring the same energy to it when you're actually singing, because you need to be able to support that vocal whilst you're performing. So it's all about the give and take of how do you work out a performance like that. But I had a lot of fun watching this and getting to see them bring their energy to the song, and I hope you enjoyed watching that along with me. You can click those plays to go and see my previous reactions, or you can subscribe so you miss next time I post a Dreamcatcher reaction. I will see you in the next video. Bye!